everybody, it's Miss Jerry Lynn. I'm so excited to be back with you today to share another one of God's stories from the Bible. Today we're going to talk about Zacchaeus. You may have heard of Zacchaeus. We usually talk about him being being a wee little man. We're not going to talk so much about him being a wee little man today. But let's tell the story one more time so you remember. This is from Luke 19, 1 through 10. A tax collector named Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus walk through his town. He was too short to see over the big crowd, so he ran ahead and climbed a tree. There he could see Jesus coming down the road. When Jesus got to the tree, Jesus looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, come down. I must stay at your home." Zacchaeus climbed down the tree, happy to welcome Jesus to his home. But the crowd was very unhappy with Jesus for spending time with a tax collector. They grumbled because tax collectors were known for being unfair. Zacchaeus heard what the crowd was saying. He looked at Jesus and made this promise, "Lord, I will give half of everything I own to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone, I will repay them 4 times what I have taken." Jesus knew Zacchaeus meant what he said. Jesus said, "Zacchaeus, today you have been saved." So that's a story that we know. And what I want you to know today is that Zacchaeus, we learned he was a tax collector. And what a tax collector did back in the old days was go around and take money from all the people for the king or whoever was in charge. And that tax collector would steal the money and lie and cheat and keep money for themselves. So all that crowd of people, they did not like Zacchaeus. They thought that he was a thief. And so they were very unhappy that Jesus was going to eat with him and that Zacchaeus was getting to have a meal with Jesus. They wanted to be with Jesus. They were honest people. They thought we should get to be eating with Jesus, not Zacchaeus, the thief, the liar. But the thing about Jesus is, Jesus loves everybody. He loves everybody, the honest people and the thieves and the liars. And Jesus knew something about Zacchaeus. He knew that Zacchaeus wanted forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is when you ask or say, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that." And Zacchaeus wanted to say to Jesus, "I'm sorry I stole that money. If I ever took money away from people, I'm going to give it back plus more." And Jesus knew that Zacchaeus meant that in his heart. Jesus knows whether we're telling the truth or not. So Jesus forgave Zacchaeus. And Jesus will forgive anyone if they ask and say, "I'm sorry," and they say, "I will do better." That's what it takes for Jesus to forgive everyone. Anyone can ask Jesus for forgiveness. Jesus forgives everyone. I want you to remember that. It's very important. Jesus forgives us all. And because he does, we forgive other people when they hurt us. We'll learn more about that as we grow up. I'm so proud of you all listening to your lessons and learning more and more. Listen to your other teachers, and I will talk to you the next time you have your lesson. I'll see you later. I love you. Bye-bye.
Hey friends, welcome to session 13, where we learned about Zacchaeus climbing the tree. It's Miss Jacqueline. Hey. So we're going to do 2 activities. The easier activity first is our activity sheet that comes already done. What you're going to do is you're going to punch out Zacchaeus at the bottom, and then you are going to take the curling ribbon that was in your package and you're going to tape him to the ribbon. Then if you turn it over, it's kind of easier to see. There's 2 slits on this paper. You're going to put one end through the top here. And then you're going to put the other end, turn around, through the bottom. And then you just turn your paper over, make a little loopity-loop. And now you can have your very own Zacchaeus climb up and down your tree. All right, so here it goes. Please. That worked. It wasn't a very far climb, was it? All right, so the whole reason that we study this is because, or this Bible story is because it teaches about like nobody's perfect, right? And it kind of teaches about forgiveness. So in the Bible story, the crowd was confused why Jesus wanted to have dinner with Zacchaeus. Like, hello, why would you want to have dinner with him, right? So what everyone needs to realize is people make mistakes, right? So what you're going to do is you are going to draw a leaf, or if you want to go outside and get a leaf, and you're just going to kind of imagine this leaf is going to be what you need to forgive. Like, do you need to forgive somebody, or are you kind of holding a grudge? And on my leaf, I wrote down, someone said something not very much nice about me, and I just need to forgive them. They made a bad choice, and they got better. Just like Zacchaeus, he promised, he asked for forgiveness, and he promised a change. So you're going to do that, and you have your little leaf, and then just like the leaves fall from the tree, I thought that'd be more dramatic. Let's try it again. Woo, there we go. Just like the leaves fall from the tree, it could be a reminder that we too need to let go of whatever it is that we have hard feelings about. Forgiveness is hard, but Jesus teaches us that forgiveness is possible. So forgive, let it go, right? All right, so that is this week's lesson. I miss you bunches, and I hope you have a good week. Bye.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday School craft lesson. For today, we're talking about Zacchaeus. I'm sure you know the story of Zacchaeus, how he was a little short guy, and he climbed up the tree to see Jesus coming through town, and then Jesus saw him and stopped and told him to come down, that Jesus was going to stay at Zacchaeus' house. And that made Zacchaeus happy, but it didn't make the other people happy. Why were they angry at Zacchaeus? As you've probably heard, it was because he was a tax collector and people didn't like them because they cheated. But Zacchaeus said that he was going to stop doing bad things. He would, if he cheated anybody, he was going to repay them, and he would give half of his possessions to the poor. And so Jesus said, Zacchaeus, you are saved. And by Jesus forgiving Zacchaeus, it helped the other people in town to forgive him too. So today, what we've got is not really a craft, but it's a sheet that I have here for you. And it says that Zacchaeus knocked some leaves off the tree, and it wants you to take the leaves and match them up down here so that we come up with the message. Now, I've started the message for you. What did Jesus come to do? Well, if you can put the leaves in the right order, which I know you can find out. And also you can color it the way you want to. And, I kind of wondered about these spots on the tree, and I looked up the sycamore trees. They grow so fast that their skin splits and it peels off. And that's why sycamore trees usually look spotted like that. In fact, I had a friend that told me you could recognize a sycamore tree because it looked sick. So just a little thing about the tree, but yeah, we have that for you to do, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and think about that. Think about what Jesus came to do and how he showed that by the way he treated Zacchaeus. And also think about, is there somebody that you might need to forgive because you think maybe they are doing bad stuff, and you can pray to Jesus to help you forgive people. And until next week, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Hey guys, it's Mr. Tony, and it's time to make a little bit of music. I hope that you guys have had a great week. I hope that you've enjoyed some of our videos the past few weeks where we've had the chance to explore some different types of musical instruments and some different instruments and And I hope that maybe by hearing from some of these people that maybe that sparked some of an interest for you to learn how to play a musical instrument. But today we've neglected to be talking about our rhythms for the past few weeks. So I thought we would just take a few moments today and review some rhythm stuff and learn a few more things about musical notations, because we can use all types of rhythms, but until we are able to take those rhythms and put it on what we call a staff, we can't really make music. I mean, we can make a rhythm, and we can use our rhythm sticks, we can use a drum, but we can't really make pitch. And so we're going to start talking about ways that we can do that, and that's going to kind of play into what we've learned with our musical instruments over the past few weeks. So today we talked about Zacchaeus and the story of Zacchaeus, and there's a famous little song that goes along with this, and I'm sure you've sung it at some point in your life as a kid, and it goes like this. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. He climbed up in the sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. And as the Savior passed that way, he looked up in the tree. And he said, guess what? What does he say, guys? Zacchaeus, you come down, for I'm going to your house today. For I'm going to your house today. I love that song, and it fits in so perfectly with what we've learned today in Sunday school. But guess what? It has rhythms in it. It has rhythms. We've talked about all types of rhythms. We talked about quarter notes, the shaded in notes with the stem. Half notes. Guess what? It has half notes in that song. It's the one that isn't shaded in with the stem. It even has a whole note at the end. So there's all types of notes that are in there that make great rhythms. But we have to put these together to make music. And the way we do that is putting all of these notes onto what we call a staff. And it looks something like this. I bet you've seen something like this before. It has some lines, and it has some spaces. And then there's some other things that are part of the staff as well. If you open up a hymnal at church, we see all kinds of songs that we sing, and they have a staff and the notes that make the rhythm. But this is really important, what happens right here. This tells us a few things. Number one, how high we sing or play the notes. And number two, what key it's in. It also tells us what time it is, or time signature, not necessarily like what time of day it is, but what the time signature is, which is really important in figuring out what our rhythm is going to sound like. So the first part we're going to talk about today is this part right here. Let me get my notes together. This is known as the clef. Can you say that with me? Clef. And you might have heard of a clef before if you've taken music lessons or you've been involved in children's choir. I know we've talked about these. But there's two types of clef that are really important to us for right now. The first one is called the treble clef. This is the treble clef. And it looks like this. It's got a shaded in bottom, kind of like a quarter note. It goes up and it kind of curls around. On a staff, it looks like this. Or if I were to pull out a hymnal, it looks like that, if you can see that right there. That is the treble clef. Treble clef means that the pitch is higher. It's higher than what the other clef is. The other clef we call a bass clef, and it looks like this. It kind of looks like a backwards C. It's shaded in here. It curls around and it has two dots on the end. It's lower. Treble in itself means higher, while bass in itself means lower. So when we've talked about instruments, we talked about guitar last week, and Mr. Chris was with us, he played an acoustic guitar and electric guitar, and they often play in what we call the treble clef, the higher clef. But when Mr. Will showed us the bass guitar, remember it was much lower, and that plays in the bass clef. So we can determine how we put our rhythms into the clef if we want it to be higher or lower. It's in the bass clef, lower, and in the treble clef for higher pitches. So going back to our hymnal that we use at church, treble clef has higher pitches, bass clef has lower pitches, if that makes sense to you guys. So that is very, very important. And then we learn the notes that happen on these clefs. And I'm not going to talk much about key signatures today because that's a very complicated subject. But key signatures are displayed here near where the treble clef or the bass clef happens. And you'll also see something called a time signature. A time signature tells us a couple different things. And I'm not going to get into big detail with this because we can talk about this later. A time signature tells us how many beats are in a measure. So in the past, we've looked at time signatures that are always in 4/4. 4 quarter notes for measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many beats are in a quarter note, guys? 1 beat. And for a whole note, there's 4 beats in that measure. So a whole note lasts for 4 beats. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So determining these things is important with this. So the 4/4, well, let's just talk about that real quick. 4/4, the top number, means the number of beats. That's pretty simple. So going back to this, we've done this rhythm before. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 beats. This tells us what type of note gets the beat. So for example, usually it's a quarter note. Not always, but usually it's a quarter note. And a quarter note, remember, is this one. So if there's 4 quarter notes in a measure and the quarter note gets the beat, then we're in 4/4. That's our time. And when you have the time signature shown to you, it will show you it's in 4/4. If that makes any sense to you guys, I hope that it does, because this is really important, and we can make music when we put all of these things together, along with notes on the staff. We haven't gotten there yet, but we will. And we put those things together with our rhythms, and we can make a song. And we can play different instruments that have different pitches. So there's a lot of really, really cool things that we can do with that. So I wanted to end today with our rhythm sticks. We're just going to play our Celebrate Wonder theme song. And I'm going to click along. And I thought we could review some of our different rhythms. I've got a few different cue cards pulled up. But we will start with this one in just a minute. Just this measure. These are our quarter notes. So if you don't have rhythm sticks with you, you're welcome to clap along. We've done some body percussion before, or we can slap our knees, we can stomp our feet, we can clap our hands. There's all different types of ways that we can make music this way. So let me start our song. So here we go, just with our quarter notes. These right here. That's a quarter note.
Oh, I wonder how you made it all so good. With a promise.
Now let's try whole notes. 4 beats. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, I wonder
2, 3, 4.
why you're
2,
so
3,
good
4.
to me.
2, 3, 4.
How
2,
you
3, 4.
never
2,
leave.
3, quarter notes.
Oh, I wonder when joy
Now whole note again. 2, 2, ready, go.
and it welcomes everyone.
Now put these together. Here we go. And 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. Now let's try some eighth notes. Eighth notes and quarter notes. Follow me. 2, 2, ready, go. job, guys. So that is our theme song with some different rhythms that we can use. And we can add these rhythms again to a staff and add pitches to that staff to make music. So those are some things we're going to talk about later on as we get into this more. We'll have another guest with us next week talking about a different instrument. So I'm looking forward to that time as we continue to look at some different instruments and how they work. In the meantime, find some cool ways that you can make some music around you, and we'll see you for Sunday school and music again next week. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and we'll see you soon. All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Oh, I wonder how you made